Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you on a week-to-week basis, looking around the globe as we call for the best of the best, looking for those technologies, services, products, and processes that are making a difference as we go through the 21st century. And as we keep adding more and more people to the planet, we have to innovate and to, at the same time, create more technologies that are sustainable, that are resilient, and actually can increase the quality of life. And I have a gentleman sitting right beside me who has many years of experience and taking things apart, putting them back together, and then making sure that they work for the people who really need it. This is Dr. James. He goes by Jim Emery, who is a visiting senior research fellow at the Institute of National Strategic Studies, National Defense University in Washington, D.C. And thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
And it sounds like from your background, we chatted a little bit earlier, that you've been visiting a lot of different places over your whole career and have been involved in many different things. But one thing that's very interesting that most people actually don't know about, even though most of us, here in the TV station do, National Defense University. So what is it? And then going back to this Institute of National Strategic Studies, what does that really mean, and how is that part of NDU?
Sure. Well, the National Defense University is, of course, a very broad institution. It encompasses all aspects of the joint force for professional military education. It also is a unique institution in the fact that it brings all the services together, along with the interagency, to look at things, challenges and problems for the United States government, not just simply from a military standpoint, but also from the informational, diplomatic, developmental standpoints. And really it teaches and schools our senior military leaders in conjunction with some of our emerging interagency leaders on how it is that best we can develop holistic solutions to very complex international problems that are facing us right now.
The whole thing about this, many people think of the military, okay, let's go, blow up something, let's go chase somebody, what have you. But actually what you're talking about is a center. It's very academic, and so they're really focused on academic quality, but at the same time, it's really almost like a thought center, is how I've understand how National Defense University has really organized itself. It has core areas, of course, related to the military and others.
Sure.
But what you're talking about the diplomatic, the civil society, you're talking about really the whole society that's in National Defense University. How does all that fit together? Well,
as we see in the world today, there is not just simply a military problem. There's not just simply a governmental or political problem. And there's not just simply a developmental problem. It's really a combination of all three that have to be brought together. And whenever we think in terms of solving and dealing with some of the challenges throughout the world, military leaders in particular, who have a very good background in security efforts, have to be brought together with those that have the ability to look at things from the political perspective as well as the developmental and also the humanitarian and civil society perspectives. And really, if we're going to develop comprehensive, holistic, lasting solutions out the world, the fourth thing we have to bring together is a really solid understanding of the host nation, who it is we will be dealing with, because in the end, every problem and challenge that we deal with is really a host nation solution that we only facilitate and support.
Yeah, and we're looking at that right here. I believe this is either Pakistan or Afghanistan, but the whole thing is that you have many countries where there's just an absolute lack of energy, throughout the whole nation, because putting up grids is very expensive. And so it's very interesting what you're doing at National Defense University, but also you're working with the United States Agency for International Development, and this is what's called the Global Innovation Exchange, which I know that's something that's very important. So what is that initiative, and then how does that relate back to what you're doing to something we're going to soon talk about, is like the tides and the star tides?
Absolutely. Great question. The Global Innovation Exchange is really an initiative that came out of the U.S. Agency for International Development's Global Development Laboratory. And it recognizes that in a globally interconnected world, that the solutions to the challenges of that world should be exactly the same, should be global, should be interconnected, and should be democratized and really open to all for participation. One of the key things that comes out of this is really success is dependent upon two things. The first thing is you have to have adaptive, innovative solutions that then in turn, number two, can be brought in contact with those really that have the solutions and the resources to solve those problems. And really the Global Innovation Exchange is designed to be a very open source, inclusive, democratized exchange forum that brings together not only government and business, but also academia, civil society, non-governmental organizations, all bringing them together because everyone has a different perspective on the challenges and it bring together different perspectives on what the solutions can be. And then in turn linking those with sufficient resources to actually then to be able to tackle those problems. And this Global Innovation Exchange has over 100 international organizations involved.
That is incredible, Jim. That's absolutely incredible to have that many. And of course, I understand through what we'll soon be talking about, tides and star tides, there's probably several thousands in there. So, I mean, you really are reaching out and involving the whole globe. But
Absolutely.
you've used this term, democracy, democratizing, several different times. You know, some governments get a little antsy when you start talking about that, and yet you're working in these very robust but also demanding environments by climate, by civil strife, by, you know, all kinds of ethnicities in those areas, diversity. So how do you use this term so that it really has a common thread of understanding as you go across all these different nation states and different groups within these nation states?
Well, I think the heart of democratization is inclusivity, bringing everyone into the discussion, and then also valuing their inputs and their solutions equally. Because one of the challenges that we faced in development in previous years is it's largely been an institutional and governmental process. Really what the Global Innovation Exchange seeks to do is bring all the good ideas from the smallest to the largest, knowing that really a good idea can come from anyone, anywhere, and at any time. And when you bring those ideas together that would normally have to percolate up through a very, very set system, and might not even make it to the top. The GIE, just as in the same way as with our Star Tides network, really seeks to get at the challenges as quickly as possible, develop the solutions, and then put those into practice for maximum benefit of those involved.
We normally talk about National Defense University. We talk about tides and star tides, and you know this, of course. You know Dr. Lynn Wells, who's been on Emerald Planet TV and is an outstanding individual and really is kind of the Energizer bunny that created that whole thing and keeps it going. But looking at it from the standpoint, let's go to the other side, USAID and this Global Innovation Exchange initiative. How does that then fold into, or does it collaborate side by side with the tides and star tides, and what would be the tides, star tides, short definition of that, and then how it fits into this USAID model? Sure,
and I think the thing that makes both of these efforts a great fit for one another is the fact that it's all about problem solving, it's all about innovation, and it's all about action. Because the thing that makes both of these efforts a great fit for one another, the Global Innovation Exchange brought together with the Sharing to Accelerate Research and Transformative Innovations pieces that we have within the Star Tides network, really make it a good fit, because as we looked at both these efforts, we saw that they have a lot of commonality in structures. The first thing is both of them have a database and a research base that provides the information needed for innovation to occur. The second thing is it has a directory. It knows how to bring people together to create solutions, to organize communities of interest and communities of effort. The third thing it is it has a portal or a portal capability that then in turn puts the right ideas out in front of people in order, allows the access, but allows people to see what other people are doing. And then the last thing of this is it has really an infrastructure and in some cases people would call it a classified section. Just knowing what other people are doing and who are interested in how and who you can tap into. Both of them have this. So I mean, when we looked at these two, bringing Star Tides into the Global the Global Innovation Exchange just made great sense.
Yeah, I think that's really well spoken there as far as the how and the why and all that. Now, looking at it, many times you'll have administrators in different organizations, you know, the proverbial stovepipes and all that. So how do you approach the leadership with these two different organizations, say, hey, we've got something here that we really need to be collaborating on? Because really in today's world, it's all about collaboration and working together to make things happen, because none of us have all the best ideas, we don't have all the best technologies, but if we can collaborate, we can help each other. So how do you allow within these organizations that the top management inside the organization feels like it wants to reach out, embrace, and bring all of this together?
But I think there's a commonality, though, between what we see within the business industry with what we're seeing within the development industry. Is the fact that most great solutions don't come from the top down as inspired wisdoms from senior leaders. They really come from the bottom up, from those that are in contact with the problems, dealing with the challenges, that simply if you will put the right people together, they can come up with the solution, propose it upward, gain the support and resources that they need, that then in turn you can quickly move great ideas into great solutions.
Okay, we are running out of time. When you have this kind of dialogue, you're just doing absolutely fantastic. But looking at National Defense University, how do you see over the next 5 to 10 years that it's going to expand its outreach as far as the innovation, resiliency, and collaboration and all that? And then how do you fit in all this with your very distinguished career, and yet you still want to do more and more? And we have about 1 minute to do all of that.
I think it would be two things. First of all, is the military and security organizations for the United States are all about innovation, change, and adapting, not just to get in front of problems, but to get in front of solutions for the future. And I feel very proud to be a part of that. The second part of that is technology has always has a key aspect of that.
Well, I think it's fantastic. And then your fit. What do you see for Jim?
My personal fit, I think, is just simply to being a little bit older, a little bit experienced, simply to facilitate some of the good ideas that are coming out of the people with a lot more experience in current events than I have today.
That's absolutely fantastic. Dr. Jim Emery, visiting Senior Research Fellow, Institute of Research Strategic Studies at the National Defense University. Thank you for being here. This is absolutely fantastic, Jim. And you well exceeded your billing about all the knowledge that you have to share with us. Thank you for being with us as we look around the globe to create the